Hello everyone, this is your boy AnZGM here, and welcome back, yes, back, to another unit review refine segment, I guess. I've done this in the past with Berkut and Shurina and like two other units, because they were my favorite units. But now we're going to be doing DC refines, and we're going to look to see how good they are. Now, if you were looking for a serious video related to like AR and such, go watch other YouTubers. Fake YouTubers for that, because I don't play AR. I only play like the general content and like the arena and such. So that's gonna be my only take on that. I really wish these pictures were separate because they're all combined as one, but we're gonna go in order. So I'm gonna be going basically in order what the picture shows me. I'm looking at the picture, but I'm not reading them. So yeah, so we're gonna go with first IKE's refine. Okay, so we're gonna go with Ragnall. And honestly, I love using legendary. Actually, you know what? Cut that part out. We're gonna go backwards. So the picture on the bottom is like Gravitas. So we're gonna go like from all the way to the top, because I prefer to review Ikes at the very last, because I use Ike a lot. All right, so here we go. So let's look at Gravitas, right? So Gravitas is okay. So based on what I'm looking at, all the refines are basically the same. No, well, not all the I mean, the condition for DC, they're all the same. They don't have extra conditions unless you refine them. So I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. So let's see what Gravitas can do. So not only it gives you HP plus 3, which is good. You know, unit can cancel attack regardless of foe's range. All right. If foe initiates combat or foe's HP is equal to 100% at the start of combat, grants all stats plus 4 to unit during combat, and also if unit deals damage to foe in combat, restore 7 HP to unit. Triggers even if 0 damage is dealt. Okay, so this makes Gravitas very enemy phase, or you could potentially do a dual phase, but the foe's HP has to be 100%. But this is a DC weapon, so you're gonna be going full on enemy phase for this. Now we know that Camus, because that's actually how you say his name, Camus and Harden. They share these weapons. For Camus' sake, I feel like this is good, but it's not that good. The reason is because his resistance is super low. It's super low, and he's a Gen 1 unit, and it's basically almost to nothing. I don't use Camus myself. I wanted to when he first came into the game, but you know, like I kind of missed out on some merges. So, but as for Harden, I feel like Harden would use this very well. Harden could benefit from this because Harden is an armor unit, and then the healing would do really good on it, and the extra stats help. However, it isn't as that good as Brave Hector, because Brave Hector is just bonkers, you know. It's bonkers, you know. I mean, you know, Brave Hector's weapon doesn't have built-in DC, but he has a preference ace skill, you know, that which gives him DC and some extra stats. But for Harden's sake, I feel like this is really good for Harden, but it's not going to be as good for Camus because of his low resistance. You would need to bump up his resistance in order for this to work. And if it was plus 5, I think it would make a lot more better than plus 4, because we've seen like more crazy stats, and I mean crazy stats for other units. And plus, with new units, they have like immensely amount of stats. So I feel like they could have gave more, but I could see why they did this in terms of the healing, because I believe in his original game, when you play it with Camus or Harden, they have healing in their weapon. So that makes sense. So I feel they went with lore-wise, but I feel like this isn't as good as the others. So I'm like, okay, but is it a good weapon? It's still good. But I don't think it's going to be as good for Camus, but it'll be good for Harden, you know? Okay, so there's that. So let's look at Rygento. All right, so I read like somewhere like in a YouTube, like they said like Rygento's refine is a monster. So before I even read into the refine, I feel like this refine is going to be super good on Legendary Ryoma, because with regular Ryoma, I don't know how well it's going to stand out. But for Legendary Ryoma, forget it. Alright, so let's see. Okay, so here we go. So it has plus 3 HP. Okay. Still the same condition as unit can counter regardless of foe's range. Okay. So the refine is, if unit initiates combat or if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants all stats plus 4. Okay. during combat. It neutralizes effects that guarantees foes follow-up attack and effects that prevents units follow-up attack during combat. So basically, this has no follow-up built into it. And honestly, that is really good. Because it's good in a sense if you give it to Legendary Ryoma, because not only Legendary Ryoma got a Legendary Remix with Bushido, if you combine with that already has dodge effect. And honestly, this makes Legendary Ryoma really scary. It actually does. But since he shares Water Season with Legendary Chrom, Legendary Dimitri, I feel like it still wouldn't do well with those type of units. But this refine alone makes Legendary Ryoma a monster in Arena. Guarantee a monster arena. I don't know how this wells in AR. Like I said, if you want to look for a depth of AR, go watch another video for this. But as for regular Ryoma, you can actually... you don't even have to run no follow-up on regular Ryoma. You can just use like the dodge skip. But the problem is it's BST. Ryoma's a Gen 1 unit. And I don't know if... I think that BST at the time was like 157, 158 BST. I don't know. I'm not even looking. I'm just guessing. But for this, it's pretty bad, to be honest. It's pretty bad for regular Ryoma, but it's amazing in Legendary Ryoma. So... I mean, this still makes regular Ryoma really good, but the effects that Legendary Ryoma have is gonna be outstanding, like immensely outstanding. Like it's gonna be really good. But yeah, and I actually have a copy of Legendary Ryoma, so if I want to use this, I can use this if I want to, but I don't like Ryoma. So there we go. All right, there's my take on that. All right, next is Siegfried. I still have a Xander to this day. I used Xander when I first played the game. I have like 4 copies of him, but I never merged them because I realized he's pretty trash. But let's see how this goes. Okay, Siegfried. Alright, same thing. HP plus 3. Unit can counterattack regards foe's range. Okay. At start of combat, if foe's HP is above 75%, inflicts attack/defense -5 on foe during combat, and foe cannot make a follow attack. Okay, so it basically essentially gives it like... It gives like, it's like a half null. It's like a half lull effect. So basically, it inflicts attack and defense -5, which is good, and it's like a mini sturdy impact as well. So it's half lull effect and half sturdy impact because it cannot make a follow attack. So you could basically use this on both in player phase, but you want to use this in enemy phase. However, the attack -5 would be helpful for Xander because his resistance is still pretty garbage, but it could help him sustain a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how well it's gonna do well in terms of mages. I mean, you could run a Vanch's build, I guess. But with this though, I honestly don't know. I mean, if a mage is attacking you, and if they cannot make a follow-up attack unless they have no follow-up, then they can. Then Xander can survive 1 hit, but then after that, that's basically it. But it's not on Xander's HP. This is on the enemy's HP. So I honestly cannot say if this is worse than Gravitas because I feel like they butcher Xander to the side and just say F it, right? Just say screw it, right? So I don't know if that's gonna be really good on Xander alone. Honestly, I feel like this is the worst one than Gravitas. But as for Xander, I mean Xander is used for physical, like he's a physical tank. But having a DC weapon with this mini condition is not enough. But hey, I get it. They don't want to overpower DC weapons. But if you look at Edelgard, Fallen Edelgard, forget about it. It has like 9 effects, but whatever. Anyways, okay. So let's look at Black Knight and Ike. And honestly, I used Black Knight in the past. I have not used them ever since. But I see one thing that benefits, and it's gonna be really good. Now, if I'm looking at this, both Aldina, I can't even say these names. Alignit or something, and Ragno both have the same condition. And honestly, that kind of, I mean, they're sister swords. I get it, they share the same power, but the effects is really bad to me. However, one effect changes the entire thing. So let's focus on Alon Knight first. So HP plus 3, unit can counterattack regardless of full range. It gives accelerate special cooldown count -1. That right there takes the cake entirely. Like, entirely. So, here's the thing though. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is above 25%, grants all stats +4. Okay, so in terms of Black Knight and Zelgius, this makes Black Knight and Zelgius really, really scary now. Just like how back then they were scary with Black Luna, now they have accelerate special cooldown, so it's gonna be two cooldown charge, and you can run special fighter. You no longer have to use a slaying weapon and DC in their slot. You can now run a free A skill and a seal if you were using like quick impulse or something like that. But honestly, that makes them super scary. But like I said, they Black Knight is like I think Gen 1 and Zelgius is Black 2, I think book 2. So the BST holds them back, but the extra stats are good. And honestly, that makes it really, really good. That makes them really, really good. They can now use Black Luna however they want. They don't have to change a special, and they could just go ham. And I mean ham. Like, that's honestly really, really good. Will I use Black Knight again? I'm pretty sure I will this time, because now with this refine, I could just use whatever that gives my disposal. I mean, I like Black Knight, but I don't know how to put him in a proper team. And this will make Black Knight and Zelgius really, really scary in Arena. Guarantee in Arena. Okay. So, now we're going to Ragnar. It's basically the same thing as Alon Knight, but there's some things that I want to give out first. Like some food for thought. Okay, so I use Legendary Ike a lot. And I love using Legendary Ike. Legendary Ike is my favorite unit, favorite character, like all time, and I use them in my team all the time. I tend to make a speedy Ike, and I like it a lot. So I'm gonna give you some perks and some kind of cons about this. So, like I said, I don't use them for AR because legendary unit cannot get blessed. I do have regular Ike, but I might get the other copy of regular Ike as Resplendent, because I do have a speed one. Think that. So here we go. So as for regular Ike, right? Finally, it could have special trigger cooldown count -1 running Aether. So now you can run a breath skill or any type of skill that would benefit this. And I mean benefit this. Hell, you can even run special spiral on regular Ike, and bam. Now, like what Phoenix Master said, right? You could now it's basically a Thanos build. Like you run a breath skill with special spiral, and bam, there you go. But with this though, it's actually super good because Ike regular Ike has some speed that you can use, and if you give it a speed boon, Resplendent, Dragon Flowers, it can read up to like 40 plus speed. You could actually run a dodge skill on regular Ike, and that would be really, really good, like amazing good. And honestly, that makes him really, really strong, like immensely strong. And I'm happy for that, but I don't use regular Ike. I use legendary Ike. I know both of them are technically both like the same person because they are, but in terms of BST and artwork, I'd rather use legendary Ike. Now, as for legendary Ike, me personally, I'm gonna use this because not only it has special cooldown card -1, and it has extra stats along with it. The extra stats will help me tremendously, and once this refine comes out, I'm gonna immediately refine it because now I don't have to run like other skills that would give me like stat boost. Sword wise, like I have Spurn on him, I have Unity on him, like I have so many things. Not only that, special cooldown count -1, since our legendary Ike has Radiant Ether 2, that will go down to 1 cooldown. If you had Time Pulse, immediately special ready. But I feel like you shouldn't run that because you should get hit and bam, Retaliant back. Like that's Like, that's all you need. And the cooldown count will be like at 3. So, but the problem is that this makes Steady Breath kind of bad in terms of Radiant Ether, because if it was at 2 cooldown, I mean, you can still run Times Pulse. You can still run Times Pulse and make it 2 cooldown and run a breath skill. That could work. But in terms of not, if you don't have Times Pulse, then this makes Steady Breath kinda bad per se, because if your Radiant Ether 2 is at 3 cooldown instead of 2 with Time Pulse, it would make him really strong. Like, he doesn't even have to run Special Spiral for that. Like, it'll just do it itself. Like, I mean, if you want to run Special Spiral, that's a different story. But that makes it immensely good. Honestly, as simple as Regnal is with this refine, I'm okay with it. I'm perfectly okay with it, and I have no problem with it. Over the past week and a half, I've been reading a lot of people's theory crafts, and honestly, some of them are correct. They were actually correct about Gravitas effect, Allah Knight having special trigger, but not Regnal having special trigger, and honestly, that makes sense because they're both sister stores, so they kind of share like the same benefit. No one cared about Xander though, but Raigento is actually really strong. So who got the most out of the batch of refine? Honestly, I love Ike a lot, but Raigento got the most refine out of it because it makes Legendary Ryoma really, really scary, and I mean scary. Having no follow up and flying units cannot have no follow up. That makes them super good, and I mean really, really good. You can run like a wind sweep build, but you have Bushido 2 Bushido 2. Why would you want to get rid of that? Because it has built-in IO shield, dodge, 7 true damage. With this weapon, no follow-up, extra stats, like, whew, like, he will be a monster. Siegfried is really, really bad. I honestly don't like it. But if you're a Xander fan, if you want to use this, if you can utilize this, then that's fine, all that much. Gravitas is like the second to least because it really doesn't, like, to this point, it doesn't benefit Camus, but it will benefit Harden, but Harden will not be Brave Hector. Allah Knight will make Black Knight and Zelgius super scary. Regnal, for me, as an Ike player, this would benefit Ike a lot more. And that's my thoughts on that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed what you saw, then please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more unit reviews, like I said, I don't do AR. If you want to watch videos on that, you could look up other FV tubers on that. But this is basically my review on these characters. But if you want to see more of this, then let me know, comments down below. I'm gonna probably do more of this when more refines come out. I should have been doing this a while back, but hey, you know, that's basically you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. This is your boy Anzi GM here, and he is out of here. Later.